Tokyo, December 10th, 1968. It was pouring rain. The bank manager of the Nihon Trust Bank was on edge. Someone had threatened his life and those around him over the past few months. Just 4 days prior, a letter, one of recent many, was sent to his personal residence demanding 300 million yen or his house would be blown up with dynamite. The letter was made up of characters cut out and pasted from movie magazines. Police were notified, and indeed they kept a close eye on the bank and his home, though this did not ease the mind of the bank manager, who shared his concerns with his branch employees. Now, of course, this is Japan, and work is work. The show must go on. With this in mind, the bank manager went on with his duties, sending 4 of his employees to the nearby Toshiba factory to make a scheduled drop. So off they went, taking the company car. But not long after leaving the bank, the 4 heard police sirens approaching. At that very moment, they happened to be next to a prison of all places. A police officer screeched to a halt in front of the car and frantically got off his motorcycle to warn them. The branch manager's home had just been blown up. People were injured, and some presumably worse. Despite police monitoring the locations, the perpetrator was still able to carry out his threat. But it wasn't over. Additional threats were made. The bank in particular was now a target, and branch employees were at risk, especially those who had left the bank earlier to carry out bank duties in clearly marked company cars. Their car needed to be searched. The officer got down underneath to check the car, but before he could do a proper search, an employee started noticing smoke and flames emerging from the vehicle. Fearing the car was about to explode, the officer desperately tried to roll out of the way. Everyone ran as fast as they could to safety, retreating behind the prison walls. They waited and waited for the explosion, but there was no explosion. They looked back and realized the company car was gone. The police officer was gone. Had he moved the car to safety? Confused, they called the Nihon Trust Bank to find out what was going on. To their relief, the bank manager answered. He was alive and well. In fact, everything was fine there. The bank manager's home was never blown up. As the adrenaline wore off, it finally dawned on them what had happened. This was the moment the perpetrator had been setting up the past few months. Disguised as a police officer, he had now gotten away with what was to be the bonus payments of 523 Toshiba employees. The stolen amount totaled to 300 million yen or $6 million, the exact amount he had asked for. On the ground, they found various items left behind, including a warning flare that the officer must have ignited while under the car to mimic dynamite. A reported 120 pieces of evidence was left behind at the crime scene, which is a lot and would normally be beneficial, but this was purposely done to mislead the investigation. This worked.